In high school, I was a senior and she was a junior. Tops of our classes. You know, standard good kids, and I was like Wally Cleaver. Her family was very religious, think of the Flanderses. While her folks were weary of her dating, they loved and trusted me and invited me over to their house frequently. It should be noted that all during the time we dated, we never had sex. Her folks had the talk with both of us and were concerned that their baby girl would end up preggers, but I loved her enough to respect her folks' wishes and never made her uncomfortable. Had it played out right, I could have seen us being married. Fast forward to after my graduation. After a few months, we still lived in the same town, and she was to start in my college in the fall. She up and dumps me. Later I heard that she'd been cheating on me and he was going to take her to her senior prom, even though we planned to do so. She told her folks I dumped her after finding someone else. Several months later, I spot her and her mom shopping in the local grocery store. They don't see me. I had a hat and grew a nice beard and kept a safe distance, and I didn't want to get into a conversation with the mom who obviously had been told I'd done her daughter wrong, so I waited until they left their cart unattended, and placed a box of condoms and lube in their buggy and covered them. When they got to the checkout and her mom started taking items out of the cart, she found them. And promptly flipped out. It was like watching the mom in Carrie, all the while the ex was, BBBB, but those aren't mine. And the mom was, how long have you been having sex? Who is it with? And the shoppers around them snickering as hard as I was. Bonus, I went through my checkout fast, and got to my car to watch the show continue. The mom was still fussing on the way to the car and, as they drove off, I could still see her wagging finger. My mother is a fucking cunt. Literally cheats on every man she's been with, has treated me, her oldest, she had 25 like a tool, against my father, since day one. We've been no contact since my 22nd birthday, when she stole $2K from me, making me homeless for a time. Her crimes are innumerable, and she's never been a drinker or used drugs. Just a shit human. She cheated on my father with a 16 years old, and married the boy. Then cheated on him with a boy I went to high school with. I say this because it's well known in the family. To the main story. Few years ago I was getting messages from a random man, that claimed to be dating my mother. He said things like, your mother cares about you, hopes you finally got the help you needed for your drug addiction. I had been clean since 19 years old. She also had a FB account with another man's picture, he didn't know about. I told both men what was happening. Something similar to this has happened more than once, over the years. Cue the petty revenge. I decided to contact my siblings and tell them what mom was up to, ask them to send me screenshots of her double talk convos. We now have an entire drive folder that has been shared to over a dozen men. My mother has been single since 2018, even left the state so as to keep herself distanced from us. I heard she was staying with her mother, so I added grams to the drive too. Even her own mom is snitching on her. Now, I can't describe the joy this simple act of exposing my mother has caused. My father thinks it's hilarious. TLDR, my mom is a POS, skank, and liar, getting exposed via Google Drive by her kids and mom. Edit, everyone in the comments obsessed with how nasty this woman is for diddling teenagers, gross, but legal at that time/place. I'm not sure if this is petty revenge or not, but it was petty and it feels like revenge. Edit, this happened years ago. And if this same scenario ever happened again, I would never have allowed it to continue the way it did. I was frustrated and upset and at the time felt like his own actions caused this, so my husband can be and often is a dick. He often makes assumptions about my actions. Usually negative assumptions. So the bathroom was pretty gross. And so I decided I was going to spring clean the bathroom. And I'm meaning toothbrush cleaning cracks and crevices. Usually I have a few old cleaning toothbrushes, but they were missing. No biggie, I thought, I'll just use my husband's old flattened gross looking toothbrush. I had already bought him a brand new one a few days prior, so I thought it was time to downgrade his toothbrush. So that's what I did. I used that toothbrush in all sorts of gross spaces. I just happened to be rinsing his toothbrush out after having cleaned the toilet when he came into the room. He got really angry and asked me why I had his toothbrush in my hand. I was like, well, I bought you a new. He interrupted and yelled, put it back. I tried to persist in explaining and said, but that's my toothbrush. Me, well, yes, I know, but put it back, I would put it back, but that's my toothbrush. Don't touch my toothbrush. Me, well, yeah, but put it back. By this point, I was flustered, upset, and angry. Like, why can't he just let me explain? He already bought him a new brush. I already used this one on the floor, bathtub, sink and toilet. But every time I tried to tell him this he would interrupt. Frankly, I had already told him on multiple occasions to please let me at least tell him what I was doing and to please stop interrupting me and never letting me get a word in. I could have yelled and interrupted him like he kept doing to me. But instead I gave him what he wanted. And I was like, okay. Fine. I put his toothbrush back and walked out. F him. He got what he asked for. Plus, I don't understand why he acted that way. If the roles were reversed and I walked in with him rinsing my toothbrush, would have asked, what are you doing with my toothbrush? And then I would have listened to his answer. And when he said, oh, I got you a new toothbrush. I used this old one to clean. I then would have said, oh. Okay. Thanks for getting me a new toothbrush. And that would have been the end of it. But no. He just can't seem to treat me kindly. So yeah, I could have persisted and told him. But his seemingly irrational anger made me feel some sort of way and I just felt like, F you, enjoy your toilet toothbrush.
So my 18F mother, 50-something F, kicked me out today because I wouldn't let her financially take advantage of me. She told me to get out and take nothing with me. Then she left. I'm really fortunate that one of my friends lives in the same building as me, so we were able to take everything I owned in about 3 hours. I've been seeing this coming for a while, so most of my things were already packed away. Now, a little context for my friend. She, bless her heart, has the worst body odor I've ever smelled. It's bad. Like never completely come out of fabric bad. And for the past 3 hours we have been running up and down 2 flights of stairs carrying heavy boxes, so, as we sit on the couch, resting and taking the place in before we never return, I allow myself one petty thought. I grab my mother's pillow and I hand it to my friend. She understands the assignment. That pillow goes under her armpits, her back, her chest, anywhere it can soak up 3 hours worth of sweat. That pillow sees hell. We put the pillow back in its place and leave. Now, I don't know if she actually meant for me to leave or not. But when she gets home and sees my room empty, I hope she regrets chasing away the last person who cared for her. And when she gets in bed and lays her head down on her pillow. Edit. I'm not sure why it won't let me post the update separately, so I'll just put it here. Hi. So this was kind of my first time posting on Reddit and I'm surprised at how much attention this got. I don't come here often. I mostly just listen to r/. Thank you so much for your kind words and advice. Reading the comments have kept my mind off of things and a few gave me a good laugh, so thank you, really. I was really shaken when I made the first post and I left out a lot of details because I just wanted to share a funny moment. But I've been getting a lot of questions and I can't sleep, so I wanted to answer a few of them. The most asked one is, of course, what do you mean by taking advantage of you financially? First of all, no, she didn't ask me to pay rent. I would kill to just pay rent and know my living situation will be secure. I'm not sure where to start that would give enough context, but I'll start by saying that my mother is a narcissist. She is a miserable woman that everyone who has ever known her has hated. She is a leech that has only ever known how to take from others. She's been addicted to gambling since before I was born and she certainly hasn't stopped now. Anyways, I'll get into the main story. Please keep in mind that my knowledge is very limited. Most of it came from her, and she is the least honest person I know. I don't understand much of this to begin with, so, about a year or two ago my great-grandmother passed away and left her house to my mother. The house is in a gated community/trailer park, with a horrible board/HOA/something like that. I'm not sure exactly what it is. My mother explained it to me as a club, and to live there you need to qualify to join it. To qualify, you need to own a trailer, a truck to pull it, and go on a few camping trips with them. My great-grandparents promised that we wouldn't have to do anything, but the club demands that we go through the process to qualify to live there. Our living situation isn't awful, but it's stressful to maintain. My mother found some guy to drain of his money, and they've been fighting over rent every month. I'm not told much, but I saw a paper that said we owe a lot. I truly don't know why we didn't move down to the house to live basically rent-free. She said it was so I could finish high school with my friends, but I don't believe her. She didn't want to move there, but she didn't want to sell it either. She claimed that it was both because of sentimentality and because she knew she would gamble all the money away the moment it hit her bank account. I know my great-grandmother's death was hard on her, and her grief made her spend more nights at the casino. I would almost feel sorry for her if she didn't make her 16-year-old daughter comfort her at her grandmother's deathbed, so, once she burned any money she inherited, she pawned off the trailer and I assume the truck too, but I never heard much of it. She pawned anything valuable she could find. She would often ask me for money to keep from losing them forever. She'd often just ask me for money for any reason. Once she realized that she couldn't just win back enough money to get the trailer back, she started begging me for the money. Not me. Begging me to ask my dad for money. They've been separated since I was about 11 and haven't spoken a word to each other since. The night before my 18th birthday she told me that I needed to get money from him or she would lose the trailer and then we would lose the house. I already felt bad enough receiving any money from him, but asking him for thousands of dollars? For my mother? He would literally never give her anything. And apparently it would just be all my fault that we lost the house. I barely made it 20 minutes before breaking down and leaving school early the next morning, walking 2 hours uphill home. That was about 8 months ago. It's just been a constant stress with her demanding things of me that I just can't do every month or so. Recently she finally decided to sell the house because she couldn't qualify to live there. She found someone to sell it to, even if it's for a lot less than what it's worth. 5 days ago, I'm just sitting at my desk when she comes into my room and just tells me that she gave my number to her agent and that he's going to call me. She doesn't elaborate until I ask, why? And she just tells me that she's going to put the house in my name and that I'm going to sell it. I am 18. I barely understand half of the things she has told me about what's going on with the house. I really don't care whatever advantage I might get from it. It's too much stress and I have no idea what I'd be doing. No one is going to tell me what the consequences of this could be. I wouldn't even understand half of what I'd find online if I tried to look it up. I don't even know what to ask. This is an absurd thing to ask of anyone so inexperienced. Why is she doing this, you ask? She said that because of the taxes she owes, if the money went into her account, it would be used to pay them all off and she wouldn't get to keep most of the money. You see, I don't really understand it completely, but I've been told that this is tax evasion. My own mother wants to use me for tax evasion. Whatever her reasons and intentions, I don't trust her. I may be missing out on a lot of money, but my loss is none of her business. The consequences of her actions are finally catching up to her and she's upset that I won't sacrifice myself for her. I've got my whole life ahead of me and I don't want to start it off any worse than I already am. Anyways, I know that if I have that money, she will never stop asking for it. She'll just do what she already does, but on a larger scale, ask to borrow money, never pay it back, or pay half it months later than she said she will, then beg forgiveness while asking for more. She will do it for the rest of my life if she can. So I immediately called my dad and we made a plan to talk to the agent together once he gets back to my state from his vacation. Horrible timing. I know, but things happened way too fast. Today, I was still in bed when my mom comes into my room and again, just tells me that she's going to put the house in my name and have me sell it. Then she tells me there's fees, $1,200-ish, for doing this stuff and she needs me to get the money from my dad. I haven't even put on my glasses yet, much less think about what I'm going to say. So I just tell her what I always tell her, that he won't give her anything. And she just fucking loses it. I don't say anything else. What I'm realizing now was a trauma response, and it just makes her even angrier. She screams at me that I'm stupid and a bitch over and over until she just tells me to get out and go live with my dad. So yeah, I wish she just asked me for rent. Sorry if taking advantage of me financially wasn't the right way to put it. I'm just not sure what else to call it. Second most asked question is, are you okay? I will be. My dad is going to pick me up from my friend's apartment tomorrow. He's going to help me get my life together and make sure I'm successful. It feels weird for once to be thought of without anyone else gaining anything from it. My parents separated when I was about 11 to 12. We tried to make split custody work, but my mom wouldn't stop trying to turn me against him. She made me tell him I didn't want to see him anymore, and I never saw him again until I was 15 to 16. I've been steadily spending more time with him since then. I've also been talking to a therapist for about a year. I'm not alone in this. Has your friend tried X? Your friend might have Y. She, 18F, I forgot in the first post, oops, said she just has bad genetics and that a lot of her family has the same problem. Her hygiene is fine and most of the time I don't smell anything. It's just that when I texted her for help, she was also in bed and didn't have the chance to shower or put on any deodorant. With the constant labor and stares for such a long time, it was literally the worst case scenario. Did you get all your important documents? Sadly, no. My mother is a mess and so are her things. I wouldn't know where to find anything nor what they even look like. It's just something I'm going to have to deal with later. Freeze your credit. Yeah. I don't have a credit card. I didn't have my own bank account until about 3 months ago when I got my first job. So much has been going on that I never got around to it. I don't have any kind of shared account with my mother, as there would literally be no point. She would just gamble anything I'd put in there. Before, I had a shared one with my dad that he would put money in every once in a while. I'm very fortunate that he's been doing well. Another edit, GAH, thank you for the advice. I'll admit I didn't really know what this was. I'm going to do this, don't worry. How do you not know how old your mother is? Because her birthday is on Christmas and I haven't spent a Christmas with her in about 3 years. We don't celebrate holidays and I wouldn't want to even if she wanted to. I literally forgot, and it's not exactly something you talk about every day. I barely saw her, what with her door dashing to make money all day so she could waste it that night at a casino and all that. What was her reaction to the pillow? Sorry. I'm just as disappointed as you are. I never got a reaction text. Then, the question I assume I'll get, OP you're 18 and you just got your first job. What's wrong with you? Yeah, I have depression and what I thought was anxiety but has been recently diagnosed as CPTSD, a gift from my mother. I haven't been doing okay for as long as I can remember. I barely graduated high school. I definitely wasn't fit to work. I don't even have a driver's license because no one ever taught me how to drive. I was raised to be dependent on my mother. I wasn't even taught to think for myself. I'm just now starting to undo all the damage she's done. Her kicking me out will be the kindest thing she's ever done for me. I'll answer any more questions in the comments. And again, thank you to those that gave me the benefit of the doubt no matter how cryptic my first post was. Sorry for bad grammar or inconsistencies. It's almost 6 a.m. and it's been a long day. I'll try to remember to update in the future. A lot of you have been suggesting that I might actually own the house. My dad suspects the same thing. I'll update once I have an answer to that.
I, 31 female, am married to my husband, 31 male, who we will call Scott. So Scott is AP security, secret shopper, at a big corporate store. He goes to work looking pretty fresh, smelling good. He's a good-looking guy so he gets compliments and whatnot which makes him feel good and I totally get it. They can look but don't touch, you know. Anyways, so there's this female coworker who we will call Karen, 37 female, and Karen is married. The other day Karen went on her secondary Facebook she uses for online gaming messages my husband. It started off innocent at first, asking things like, "Is this Scott the guy from work?" and turned into saying things like, "Hi Scotty," smiling face with smiling eyes, "He doesn't go by Scotty," and then asking for relationship advice about some other guy at work who is not Karen's husband. So one night she messaged him, and out of the blue she asks my husband if he would like to make $30 an hour being someone's side piece. He immediately showed me and involved me in the conversation. As the conversation continued, it became clear she was talking about herself. That totally caught me by surprise, because who does that? My husband tried to nicely tell her that's not the way to handle things and she needs to fix her relationship. He also said some stuff that I was not at all happy with, like that he understood her frustration. This caused a fight between us, and I ended up taking upon myself to message her and ream her out for doing that, knowing he's married. She wasn't at all remorseful and made excuses. She acknowledged in previous texts to my husband that he has a wife, so she knew. He also immediately reported this to HR, as this is sexual harassment. However, they are dragging their feet. In the meantime, she ended up approaching him again at work, asking him why he showed me, his wife, the messages. He blew her off basically and said obviously she was going to see them and he just doesn't want this to be awkward. He told me this, and I told him it's going to awkward no matter what, and he needs to be more clear with Karen about wanting nothing to do with this. Fast forward another week. She messaged him again at work this time. She tells him come to the back room, a place she knew there wouldn't be anyone around. He said why. She never answered him via text. Later that night she walks up to him asking him to delete that last text thread. This is where he finally told her off and basically said this BS has to stop. I'm not dishonest with my wife and this isn't going to happen. She walked away and pretends everything is peachy the next time she sees me, smiles and tries to say hi. Here's where I become the asshole. I don't think it's very fair to her husband to not know and just be with someone who does this kind of thing. So, I googled and found him and his phone number, and then I called him and told him the whole story. Edit to address the comments of me being too harsh on my husband. In their first conversation she ended up feeling stupid and tried to backtrack and say oh I'm sorry. My husband responded with don't be sorry. This is what really made me upset, because not only did he excuse her behavior but said he understood her that I saw red. He admitted this was a poor way to handle things and is fully supportive of me being petty. Edit to add my conversation with Karen's husband since it's getting lost in the sea of comments lol, copied from my previous comment. Me, is this so and so? Him, yes. Me, is your wife Karen? Stupid face. Him, yes. Me, okay Steve, fake name, you don't know me but I think you should know this. Your wife asked my husband to be her side piece for money at work. Him, what really? Wow, okay. Me, goes into detail about how I know it's his wife, her gaming profile name etc. I'm really sorry to be the one to tell you but I think you need to know this is how she acts at work. Him, what's your husband's name? Me, I'd like to keep him out of this because it was her who approached him multiple times and isn't taking the hint. Again I'm sorry. Him, no, thank you, I would rather know. Me, good luck Steve. Bye. Him, bye, thank you. This is the basic tone of it with some of the words maybe being slightly different. Edit to add some further context to the situation. A friend told to me that it's worth mentioning that my husband and I have a young family. Our children are 3 years old and 8 months, and I am extremely protective of them. This woman in my opinion tried to sabotage that happy family picture.